Okay, if you love thrift store transformations, you are in for a treat today because this is not only just one makeover and it's not just 10. I've got a whole collection of thrifted finds that I'm transforming into beautiful home decor. We've got clever DIYs and ideas that might just have you looking at secondhand shopping in a whole new way. So grab a coffee, a tea, get comfy. Let's dive into a giant binge of thrift store inspiration. I found this little cabinet for $6.99 at the thrift store, and I didn't really know what I was going to do with it when I picked it up. I just knew that it was beautiful. I've sat on it for quite a while, and then you know how all of a sudden it just comes to you and you're like, perfect idea. So we are going to upcycle this into a charging station. We're going to clean it up. It's really dusty. It's really dirty. So I'm going to take this price tag off, scrub it up with some soap and water, and then we'll be back when it's all cleaned up. All dusted and cleaned up. And guess what I found when I opened up this? Can you tell I have grandkids? I think I must have been thrifting with my granddaughter when I brought this home, and she found a perfect little spot to hold that. So we'll put that back up in the toy box. Everything cleaned up really well. Except I did see now there's a little piece of tape there. Let's take that off. Okay. So what I'm going to use on this, I kind of gotten away from painting a lot of things. I'm really loving just the natural wood color. So I am going to be using a product called Restore a Finish. It's made by Howard's. This is not a stain. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It just kind of will cover up any dings or scratches and just kind of make everything look kind of cohesive and blend in all together. And you just put a little bit on a cloth and wipe it on and let it soak for a few minutes and then buff it off, and it works really, really well. Before we do that, we have another problem. We are missing a little knob here. So this one is coming off. So I think I'm going to replace these two, and I have a bead stash that is covered in elastics. There's two beads way in the very bottom that I think are going to work for this project. So I'm going to take all of this out, see if I can get to these. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So we've got one, we've got two, and that solves the problem of our missing knobs. So I'm going to glue these on. I'm going to use some E6000, something that's a little permanent, so they're not going to, no, you know what? We don't need to, because this doesn't open. This opens here and this opens here. So I can probably just use my glue gun and glue these on. These beads aren't a perfect match, but they're pretty close. So we are just going to put a little bit of hot glue here. And I'm going to put the ends of the beads on the outside so they're not going to show at the front. And this one's not being pulled on because it's not a drawer that opens. So I think that actually blends in pretty good. Put a little bit more hot glue again. There. Now we're just going to set this aside and let these set up and dry. Okay, now let's get using our Restore a Finish by Howard's. This is dark oak, and I think it's going to be pretty close to that color. Just gonna take the lid off here. Make sure you're using this in a well-ventilated area. And I'm gonna put a glove on my hand with the one that I'm using, and it's just a matter of you just pour a little bit in a cloth and rub it on. And if you have any scratches or dings or nicks, it just kind of blends it all in together. It just saves like that step of stripping something down, and I really like this. So you can see already how it's kind of given it a little bit of a sheen, and any scratches that were there, it's covered them up. Put a little bit more on the cloth. Let's turn it on its side. And there's a few scratches in there. And as soon as you wipe that on, it just completely disappears. I'll put the link to this product down below in the description. If you haven't tried it, it's something that you can experiment with and have some fun. And wipe it on. Okay, I'm just gonna work away and get this completely covered, and we'll be back. I got it all covered with that Howard's Restore finish, and now I'm gonna drill 2 holes in these 2 shelves. I want a cord to go through for my iPhone and a cord to go through for my Apple Watch. I think I'm gonna do them just down in the corner here. Now what I did was I picked a drill bit that was around the same size as the charger, so I know that it can fit through. And I'm just gonna go really slow because it's kind of a thin piece of wood. So we're just going to, I probably should have done this first before I stained it. I get so excited that I just kind of jump ahead. After I drill these, I'm probably gonna have to go back in with a little bit of that Restore finish and kind of just touch it up. But we're just gonna slowly. Well, that was easy to drill through. We've got a nice little hole, and we're gonna do one more. First, before we do, let's make sure, might need to be a bit bigger. Okay, and let's do the second one. Excellent. Okay, I'm gonna clean this up. We're going to put a little bit more of the Restore finish on it so it looks nice, and pull our chargers through. I'm really excited about this project. I hate having cords all over and them not being organized. So we've got our 2 holes drilled in here, and they can go. This one's a little bit smaller because it's just a USB-C. This one I forgot. It's a USB, so it had to be a bit bigger. So I got a bigger drill bit, but it fits through there. So now let's take this, put it where I want it, and get it set up. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I never buy a lamp brand new, because if you've ever been to the thrift store, you have seen the selection of lamps that you can pick through is enormous. And sometimes all you need to do is maybe buy a new shade, paint a shade, add some fabric to it, or spray paint the base with some sand paint or some chalk paint, or even just spray paint the base to match your home. But you can find so many beautiful lamps. This one in particular, it doesn't need anything. It is gorgeous. The shade is perfect. The ceramic base fits my decor. I think I paid, I don't even remember now, it was in a thrift store where you just kind of, they just, as you went through, they said $5.99, $3.99. I think I paid $5.99 for it. Beautiful. It needs just to be dusted, and I'm excited to add it into my home decor. I love decorating my home with old window frames instead of maybe sometimes putting up picture frames with pictures in them. I think these just make a really great focal point. This one was given to me. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's grungy. The glass is missing out of it, but I think all it needs is just a little bit of TLC. So I think I'm just gonna lightly sand it, and I made some DIY homemade stain using steel wool. I have a full tutorial. If you have not seen that, it creates the most beautiful deep stain for pennies, a fraction of the cost of what you pay for stain at the hardware store. So I think this is all this needs. It just needs to be sanded down a little bit, some of my DIY stain put on it, and then sealed up. So we're gonna get to work. Now this old window has some caulking along the side that used to hold the glass in, and it's kind of crumbly and it's kind of falling apart in places. So I just grabbed my putty knife and I'm just popping it off. And I think it's gonna just make it look nicer and neater and cleaner. If it was hard to get off, I wouldn't struggle with it, but most of it is just popping right off. So I'm gonna work away at that because there's quite a bit on all 3 panels and clean it up. Okay, I've made a complete total mess. I don't know if that was a good idea to pop all of that off, but there was some that was loose. So I've cleaned up what was loose. The rest of it is not budging. We're not gonna touch it because I think the stain is gonna pick up into that caulking anyway. So we're gonna clean this all up. I'm going to give it another really good sand, and then we're gonna be ready for the stain. DIY steel wool stain, amazing. I could only find 1 glove, not so amazing. I have no idea where the other one went, so we're gonna roll with it. We are just going to use, I just got a little cloth. I'm gonna dip it in the stain. You do need, if you make this, you need to shake it really well before you apply it onto your project. But oh, look at that. That is absolutely deep and rich and gorgeous. And I made it for just pennies with some steel wool. It's a really great tutorial if you haven't watched that. So we're gonna just work away and apply this stain. You wanna do it in a well-ventilated area. It is rust, kind of a rusty smell, but no harsh chemicals. Okay, let's keep working on this. I'm gonna finish up this mirror. We'll be back when I have it all completely coated. And I actually just did a little bit of where the caulking was, and it is kind of blending in, so it's fine. Our stain is all dry. The one thing that you have to kind of remember when using this stain, it does dry quite a bit lighter than when it first goes on. But I'm going to seal this up with some polyacrylic sealer. This is a semi-gloss. I love this as a top coat. It seals everything up. Doesn't give it that real glossy feel. It doesn't yellow, but allows you to be able to dust your home decor after. If I had just put like a wax or not put a sealer on this at all, it would get really dusty and it would be hard to clean. So that's why I love just putting on a nice light coat of polyacrylic sealer. So I'm gonna seal up this window frame and we'll be back when it's all done. Okay, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this window is absolutely gorgeous. The color is so rich. When I put that polyacrylic on, it brought out that deep color again. It needs a hanger on the back, so I just have a sawtooth hanger. I'm gonna screw on, and then we're going to put it in my house. I love a good upcycle, and I think this is a really clever one. This is an instant coffee from Tim Hortons glass jar. And what I love to do is I love to upcycle these all the time. I never throw them out. I'm gonna take this upstairs. I'm gonna give it a really good scrub. We're gonna take off the label, and there's a little plastic or little styrofoam thing here we're gonna take out. So I'll be back after we get this all cleaned up. All sparkly clean. We've got the little foam piece that was in the lid out. I am going to just take a piece of wood here. We're gonna turn it upside down. I have a drill and bit and a straw. We're gonna make sure that the drill bit is about the same size as a straw, and it is. And we're just gonna drill a hole in the top of this lid. That easy. The straw fits right through it. And you now have made a cup. Oh, this was a fail. I actually have an attachment that can go on to this straw. Let's go and make, it sounds like I need an iced coffee. Let's go make an iced coffee and I'm gonna show you how well this works. I don't think there's ever really a need for us to go and buy these fancy glasses and all this kind of thing when you can just go to your recycling bin and you can usually find something in there that's going to work. And this is the perfect size for an iced latte. My straw fits right through the hole. Your lid stays on nice and tight. I'm obsessed with iced lattes. Works amazing. If you have some of these in your recycling bin, take some out, give this a try, and cheers. Okay, I might get a little bit of hate for this upcycle because I know people really love this style, but it doesn't fit into my home. But the actual wall shelf is amazing quality and it's handmade. So I'm going to paint it. I'm sorry. It was $20. I had a gift coupon for 20% off. I'm going to pop off the heart and yeah, we're going to paint it. I need a little cabinet in one of my spare bathrooms. And I knew this would work perfectly for that. Of course, the teddy bear theme is not going to go into the bathroom. So I'm just going to see. Let's hope that this heart is going to pop off easy. We're just going to pry underneath it. Usually they glue these things really well, and they have. I don't want the heart on there, but I also don't want to wreck the pine underneath. Oh, goodness. Oh, I might be able to get it. I'm just going to take my time. So many things in the 90s had hearts on them. And I know they are coming back in style, that cottagecore, granny chic look. And they look beautiful in that type of a style. But it doesn't really match my stuff. So come on. Maybe if I used, I've got a heavier dutier one. Oh yeah, this one's a little bit more sturdy. Oh, you know what? It's nailed in here. We lucked out. This is just nailed in here. Come on, we can do it. No nails, 2 screws, no glue. I think we're in luck. And I'll just have to take these screws out. Let's flip it over. Oh, if I had have looked, if I had looked a little closer, I would have seen these. So we just need to pop these 2 screws out. We'll save this for another little project. We can add that too. And then we're gonna come in and do some sanding. I've got a 220 grit sandpaper. We're just gonna lightly sand and see if we can bring this down smooth because it is a little bit raised. I've added some wood filler down here where the screws were, and we're just gonna do a little bit of prep work. I did a bunch of sanding, and actually it didn't take a lot of this off. They used some really good paint, but it is nice and smooth now. So it's gonna cover up well with the paint. I have picked out it's called Black Cat by Beauty Tone. It's a latex paint, and that's what I'm gonna be using. I'll probably put on 2 coats. I'm not gonna have you watch me paint all of this because we already all know how to do this. But I'm gonna work away at this, and we will be back when it's all dry. I've got 2 coats of paint on the shelf and it's all dry. And I decided I wanted to put a top coat of wax on it. I make all of my own wax. I do a gilding wax, a hard wax, a soft wax, and an antiquing wax. I have tutorials for all of them. I'll put a QR code here. You can go back after watching this video and check that out, how to make it. But for this project, I am using my soft wax. And I just have a little cloth. You just put some on your cloth. You just put a little bit of the wax on the cloth and rub it on. And it gives a really nice finish. And it really pops that black. I think this is just about ready to get hung up. I found this at the thrift store for $3.99 and I knew exactly where I wanted to put it. I have a little nook around my coffee bar and I've never had really a spot to hang my apron. So I am going to tuck this into that little little corner, and it has 3 hooks on it. 3 hooks up here, lots of potential, not changing anything. This is gorgeous just the way it is. Let's get it hung up. You might have seen something like this at the thrift store and thought that it was a wine holder. No, it's not. In my mind anyways, I have a different way that I'm going to use this. I'm going to turn it into a planter. I think it's gorgeous, but I'm not really fussy on the colors of it. I want it to be more of a cement kind of look. So we are going to spray paint it. When you're spray painting something like this, because it's a shiny surface, you want to spray paint it with a primer first. So that's what we're going to do. Also, before you alter anything like this, and I've said this many times in my videos, make sure it's not worth anything before you start altering it. Do a Google search, go on ChatGPT, take a picture of it, and make sure you're not spray painting something that might be worth a couple $100 or something. So I've done the research on this. It's not, and it's got a few chips in it. Let's upcycle it. My primer is all dry. I have mixed up some baking soda paint, and I'm just going to use like a stencil paintbrush. And I love the baking soda paint. It gives it lots of texture and gives it a little bit of depth. And I think it's really going to look nice on this little planter that we're creating. And I like just pouncing it up and down. It doesn't have to be perfect. You want that stippled look with this paint. And get in all the nooks and crannies. So I'm going to work away at this. If you haven't tried any of the baking soda paint, I'll put a link, QR code somewhere around here, and you can watch that to get the recipe, or you can join the society, and my paint recipe booklet is in there for you to instantly download, and you can grab it along with my paint recipe booklet, my clay booklet, how to price DIYs, how to have a profitable craft sale, all there in the society. So check that out if you'd like. And I'm gonna just finish painting this planter. When it's all done, I'll be back. Okay, I've got 1 full coat on this and actually covered really well. What I'm gonna do next is I've got a little bit of the leftover baking soda and a dry brush. And I'm just gonna kind of brush it in all those little crevices. Just gonna kind of give it that more of that aged stone look again. You know when you have like terracotta pots and they have that white, I'm sure there's an actual word for it. It's not coming to me right now, but that's what I'm trying to achieve with this. Just kind of get that baking soda in those little textured areas. And this is great because there's so much texture on this that there's lots of places for that to kind of land and kind of get in there. This is not perfect. This is not meant to be perfect. This is just kind of different techniques that you can try when you're painting things to get some really neat effects. So I'm just kind of slopping it on. And then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to take the paintbrush again and I'm going to kind of just brush it away. And then I'm going to seal it all with a polyacrylic spray sealer. So I have some right here. It's clear, and I'll just spray it to seal everything in, and then we'll be ready to put our plant in it. Look at this beautiful mirror that I found. I don't think it's handmade because when I flip it over and look at the back, it just doesn't have that homemade feel. It looks like something from a department store, but it's still really beautiful. The only thing that I think it really needs, it doesn't need a whole lot of DIYing done to it. It just needs a sealer. I paid $13.99 for this. Great deal. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give it a light sanding, and then we're going to put on a coat of my polyacrylic sealer. This is water-based. It does not yellow over time. I really like it. And I think it's just going to give that finishing look to this mirror. Right now, it just looks like unfinished raw wood. So I'm just going to give it a light sand. This is like a 220 maybe. And go with the grain, clean it up, and then put on a coat of the polyacrylic sealer. This is all cleaned up, and now we're ready to put some polyacrylic sealer on. This would also be a really great DIY to use some wax. If you have some wax, that would really bring out the grain of the wood. I just really like the polyacrylic sealer because it makes dusting a lot easier when you're using it. And you can just see how it brings out that, just kind of pops the wood grain. This is a semi-gloss. You can buy the polyacrylic at your hardware store in satin, semi-gloss, gloss. There's all kinds of finishes. But this really is finishing off this $13.99 thrift store mirror really beautifully. And I'm excited to hang it in my home. I love when I can find a secondhand cutting board because to renew it and make it good again is so simple. This one I found, it's solid wood, got a nice groove in it, so it's going to be really good to have in the kitchen. It was $1.99. It needs some butcher block oil. This is a conditioner, a wood conditioner, butcher block oil. Basically, it is mineral oil. You want to be making sure that you use a mineral oil. Don't use like an olive oil or a vegetable oil. They go rancid, so you don't want that. You do want a good mineral oil to condition your wooden cutting boards, and it's so simple. I put this through the washing machine. Some days words just are hard. I put this through the dishwasher and let it dry really well, so I knew it was nice and clean. And I'm just gonna pour on some of this mineral oil. And you basically, I've just got a paper towel and you just rub it in. Rub it in and see how it's bringing out the natural grain of the wood. And it's going to be a beautiful cutting board again. We didn't need to go to the store and buy a new cutting board. We just needed to find one at the thrift store and give it a little bit of love. And this is all it needs. You should actually use this mineral oil every 3 months or so on all of your cutting boards. It just kind of renews them and makes them good again. I'm also going to flip it over and put some on the other side. But that's it. So I've bought a cutting board for $1.99 at the thrift store, put a little bit of mineral oil on it, and it's good to go. I love finding picture frames. This one is a beautiful frame. I love that it looks kind of like an antique window. The graphics, obviously this was hung in a window that had lots of sun because it really kind of faded the graphics on it. I'm gonna try to fix that. So we are going to cut the paper off the back. Let's see how this is attached in here. Take this off. It was kind of starting to rip anyway. And see what we have. I'm gonna save this. Never get rid of this stuff. This will go right into a junk journal. And lift this out. Let's see what we've got. Ah, okay. This is like all glued on here. Okay, so let's try this first. I'm gonna try just putting some instant coffee and water on this and see if we can age it and get rid of that blue. I don't think it's gonna work though. I think it's just going to, yeah, it's too far gone. It's just gonna kind of look like a blue now with coffee stain on it. So we're not gonna do that route. I think what we need to do, we need to replace these graphics. I printed off some graphics because I wasn't really sure if we could save these. So I printed off some just in case, and this is what I picked out. They're kind of botanical prints, and I think they're gonna fit in here really nicely and probably look a lot. I think that looks a lot better anyways. And I think it's really gonna complement the, let's just flip the frame over. Yeah, I think that's much better. So I'm gonna size these graphics up to fit the frame, mount them on this cardboard, and I think I paid $3.99 for this frame. So for $3.99, and all I had to do was put some of my graphics in it and upcycle it. I think it was a really great save. These graphics are available in our Upcycled Society. I'll put the link down below in the description if you want to check it out, because I'm adding graphics every week. Graphics like this, they're absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's get to work. I'm gonna size these. You guys already know how to do that. I'm not gonna do that on camera. I'm gonna clean up the glass, put it all together, and we'll be back. I got everything all put together. Love these 4 botanical prints. What I did was I just used some double-sided tape. I always pick these up at the dollar store. They work really well, holds it in place, and then we can put it in the frame and get the staples all set up here. And I have the perfect spot where I want to hang it. I love horseradish on a good steak, but I love horseradish even more when it comes in a beautiful glass jar like this. So we're not putting this in the recycling bin. We're gonna upcycle it. I'm gonna take it upstairs. We're gonna give it a really good scrub, and then I'm gonna come back down and show you how we can make this really beautiful, and it's so simple. We got the label all scrubbed off. I actually have a full tutorial on how to clean labels, and I tested quite a few different ways. It's a fun video. If you want to check that out, you can just click on the QR code and it'll take you to that after this video. But look at how beautiful this jar is. Who knew horseradish could be that beautiful? So now what we're gonna do, I've got some rubbing alcohol and a little piece of paper towel, and we're gonna really wipe out the inside of the jar. We wanna get off any little bits of grease or fingerprints. We're gonna tint this glass, and this is really simple to do. If you haven't tried it, grab some of your glass out of your recycling bin or some thrifted stuff that you have and try tinting some of it. Okay, we're gonna set that aside. We're gonna let it dry a little bit. And now what we're going to do is I have some food coloring. You can use gel or you can use the liquid, whatever you have. I keep a package of this down in my craft room and I only use it for just crafting. And you're gonna use some Elmer's glue. You could also use Mod Podge. It works just as well. I do find the school glue obviously is a little bit cheaper than the Mod Podge. So we're always on a budget here. We want to craft, but do it affordably. So I find the school glue for this project works just as well as a Mod Podge. Now we want to pick out our color. I have quite a bit of the umber glass, and I think that's what I want this to be. Kind of that shade of brown. This kit has all kinds of different colors. So if you grab one, you can do Halloween, Christmas, Easter, all kinds of different colors, whatever matches your decor. And you just want to, the only thing about these little tiny things is they don't squeeze out very well. So you kind of gotta squish it and get down to its level. Okay, I'm not gonna make you watch me squeeze this out. Okay, we've got quite a bit squeezed out, and then you just wanna stir it all together. When you're mixing your color up, you want to keep in mind that it dries lighter than it looks. So if it still looks a little bit light, you might want to add a little bit more just to take that into account. But this looks pretty good, actually. That looks actually really good. So now what we want to do, you want it to be able to flow on the inside of the glass. So I like just to add just a few drops of water. That might be like, for how much I have here, maybe half a teaspoon. And then mix it all together. Mix, 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 mix. This is a really great project to do with your kids or your grandkids or your nieces or nephews, or if you're a teacher, great little project. Okay, I think we got this mixed really well. Now we're gonna take our glass jar and you're just gonna pour it in. That's it. Pour it into the glass jar. And then swirl. Put this underneath it so you can kind of catch it as you go. I actually made a lot of this, so I might have to find another glass jar that I can coat because we don't want to waste it. But we've got this covered really well. And now what you want to do is you just want to kind of hold it upside down and let it drain out for the most part. And then you can also, once you get it almost out, you can put it on the paper towel. And if I got to sneeze, oh, excuse me. Allergies. It's spring here in Canada and allergies are full force. Okay, that looks good. So now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna put this upside down, let most of it drain out. We'll be back. This has completely drained out and you can see how it's coated really well. Now I have a full tutorial on temperatures because we're gonna put this in the oven now on a really low temperature. I'll put the QR code here so you can go and watch that one. So we have all of the temperatures there, how long it takes, and those steps. But that's what we're going to do now. I'm gonna take this up, we're gonna put it in the oven, let it dry out. And while we're doing that, we are going to work away on the little lid here. So it's just a beautiful black lid. I've got some E6000 and I have a little knob. And we're gonna put this all together. We are going to, I've wiped this down with some alcohol so it's nice and clean. We got the knob. We're going to put, the E6000 is horrible in this container, but I've got a little toothpaste squeezer that I found at the dollar store, and it works really great to keep your E6000 in and dispense it. If you haven't tried this little hack, give it a go because it works really well. And then you don't struggle with it as much. There we go. We got lots of E6000 there. And I'm just gonna put a dab of hot glue on there too. so it doesn't jiggle around and it can set up. Put it right in the center. Find the center of our lid. Okay, perfect. We're gonna let everything set up. We're gonna put our glass jar in the oven, and I'll be back to show you how beautiful this all comes together. I rescued this little rocking chair. It has got some damage on it. There's some damage here and here. I think it just kind of has a lot of character. I am not going to use it as a rocking chair for a kid. I am going to use it for something else. So I'm gonna get this all cleaned up. It's got lots of dust on it. Oh, and I paid $2.99 for this at the thrift store. So we're gonna clean it up, get the dust off of it. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to use it for. Okay, we have it all cleaned up. I don't want to paint this. I actually love the color that it is, and I love the character that it has with the little nicks and the dings in it. I am going to put a plant on it and use this as a plant stand out on my patio this summer. And I just think it looks just something different. Gives a little bit of a twist on, instead of just using it as a chair. I love when sometimes you can find something and you think outside of the box and you use it for something completely unexpected. I think this is a great project for that. As soon as I spotted this graphic in the thrift store, I fell in love with it. It's the herb garden, and it has it all listed here with the teas and meat and fish and what you can use them for. Absolutely beautiful. Do not love the frame, and I do not love the mat. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna deconstruct this and upcycle it so it's gonna fit my decor better. The back has already started to kind of rip. So we're gonna remove this paper. Always save this paper because it's perfect for my junk journaling and mixed media projects. Good old piece of brown paper. And I think this is gonna come apart really easy. You can tell that it was framed really well. Got lots of nails here, which I think just with a pair of, not even the fingers, they're just gonna pull right out. So we'll save all of those. Let's take this out and see what kind of shape. Let's get a pair of pliers here and see what kind of shape the graphic is and the mat, and then we can start painting. It actually came apart not too bad. The mat, we're going to paint. The graphic, again, it's just gorgeous. So we're gonna set this aside. I'm gonna get painting the mat first. We'll clean up the glass, and I'm gonna paint the frame black. These mats, a little hack, if you don't like the color, you can just grab some of your acrylic paint and paint on top of them. They're just paper. And you can see how that's transforming that mat already. Such an easy little way to upcycle some picture frames that don't match your decor. Just paint the mat. I'm gonna work away at this, and I'm gonna paint the frame black, and we'll be back to pull it all together. Okay, this makes my heart happy. So much better. I painted the frame black. I actually ended up distressing it a little bit and then sealing it with some polyacrylic sealer, water-based, just because if I ever want to dust it, then it makes it a lot easier. And I cleaned up the glass. Look at the mat, so much better. That neutral color. And we're gonna put the glass back in very carefully. I would have wished that maybe the frame was a little bit chunkier, maybe a little bit more ornate, and I might be on the look for one to replace this one eventually, but for now, it's gonna work. Get this piece back in there. We're gonna put our mat in, and we have our print that I think is going to look much better. So we're going to put the nails on this, and I'll show you all set up in my home. $5.99 for this solid oak wall stand. It's got a hole in it so you can hang it up on the wall. But I have so many things on my walls. At some point, enough, right? So I saw this and I'm like, how can I turn this into something else that's going to be useful? And I came up with a really clever idea. I'm excited to show you. What you're going to use is a Scrabble tile holder. I always find if I see the Scrabble tile games at the thrift store, I always pick up one and have it on hand. Number one, for the little tiles, because they have little letters on them. You can turn them into so many different things. Ornaments, add them in your junk journals, so many ideas. But for these, I like to add them onto pieces like this and turn them into a stand to hold a tablet or a cell phone. So we are going to incorporate these two things together. I'm going to be using some E6000, which is really strong glue. I really like it, works well. Hate the tube, absolutely hate the tube. So you want to make sure that you are setting it on your wood properly so it's going to hold your tablet up or your phone up. And I think this is about, let me grab my tablet. One second, I'm going to show you. Okay, so you see how your tablet can fit right in there and it can stand up and you can watch your little movies and put it on the counter, or if you've got a recipe you're following, and it can go both ways too with this one, up or down. So we want to glue this with the E6000. I have this in a toothpaste squeezer. This works really well for squeezing it out and getting to the last little bit, because the E6000 is horrible packaging, but we just deal with it because it works really well. The toothpaste squeezer solves a lot of that problems of having waste or having to deal with that tube. And then I like to use a little bit of hot glue, because what that does is it just keeps it in place really fast while we wait for that E6000 to cure. So I'm just putting like 3 dots on there. Now we want to center it exactly where we want it. That looks good. I'm gonna let this set up for probably like 10 minutes. And then because these are not the same color, we're gonna use some spray paint. That honey oak, I don't have anything in my house that's really honey oak. So we're going to spray paint it with some matte black spray paint and pull it all together. The spray paint's all dry on this. I'm going to put on the bottom some little felt pads, just so if we're going to be moving it around a little bit, it's not going to scratch the surface that it's on. I purchased the package of these felt pads. There's probably 100 of them in all different sizes on Amazon, and they're great to have on hand for a DIY just like this. The thrift store is full of souvenirs that people maybe picked up when they're on vacation, bring it home and then realize this does not fit my decor. I have no room for it in my house, and it ends up getting donated. So when I found this little easel, it is from Portugal and it's a nice little tile, but it doesn't really match my vibe in my home. But I had a clever idea of how to upcycle it. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it using one of my graphics from my society. First thing that we're going to do, we are going to paint this easel because it's just pine. And I'm just going to use some acrylic paint. Need a paint palette and a pinch. Save a jar lid. They work fantastic for that. We'll put a little bit in there and a paintbrush. And let's paint this easel so it looks a little bit better than just pine. So I'm going to work away at this. When I have it all painted, we'll be back and I'm going to show you how I'm going to put one of my beautiful graphics on this with some decoupage. I've got the little easel all painted, and I kind of distressed it a little bit. I think it looks a little bit more expensive than it did before, than just a raw pine look. Now let's work with the graphic. So this graphic I designed. I love it. I love the vintage antique feel of it. It's an old soap label. It's available in our Upcycled society. If you're not familiar with that, I have a membership where I add graphics like this and many others every week, and exclusive videos, private Facebook group. I have all of my paint recipe books and my manuals in there for you to download. If you're interested in checking it out, I'll put the link down below in the description, and have a look around. We would love to have you over there. But I took my graphic and I put it in Canva, and I sized it to fit my project, so it fits really well. And I printed it on my laser printer, but I think it needs more of an antique kind of vibe. So I got some instant coffee and water, just a little tiny bit. I don't need very much. And because this was printed on a laser printer, the ink is not gonna run. So I'm just gonna kind of age it a little bit with that instant coffee, and before we decoupage it onto this. So I'll probably put maybe 2 coats, and you can see already how it's kind of got that vintage feel. So let's let this dry, and we'll be back when we're ready to use our Mod Podge and put it on our project. I think that looks way better. Just a little splash of that instant coffee and water can turn a graphic into something that looks like an older piece. This is a great technique to also do for like mixed media, junk journals, that kind of stuff. I am going to now, I think I'm going to scuff up this tile a little bit because it has a little bit of a glossy top on it. It's just going to give it a little bit of a tooth for that Mod Podge to grab onto. Doesn't need very much, just a little bit, just to take down that shine. That's good. And I'm just going to be using my Mod Podge mat, my favorite decoupage glue. We're going to, you don't need very much, just a light coat. If you're using too much Mod Podge, sometimes it'll wrinkle and bubble on you. So it doesn't take very much to make it stick. Just a light coat right across the entire surface, right out to the edges. And take our graphic and center it exactly on that little tile. Press all the bubbles and wrinkles out of it. That's great. And then you can just take your Mod Podge, and for a top coat, I'm just gonna put a really light coat on. If you're putting on too much, again, it's gonna start to bubble and wrinkle on you. Less is more with Mod Podge. That's probably one of the main mistakes that people make when they're decoupaging, is using too much glue. You don't need very much. Just a light coat right out to the edges. This is more my style, and I think it's going to be perfect to put in my bathroom beside the soap dish. One thing that I never buy brand new are decorative bowls. You can hunt through the thrift store and find things that are way more beautiful that you're gonna find at Winners or Marshalls or HomeSense. This one I found, it was a little bit more pricey. It was $9.99, but I loved it. And I had a coupon for 20% off, but it's got a cast iron bottom and the wicker bowl, and then the steel or metal rim on it. It's beautiful. It doesn't need anything done to it. It just needs to go into my kitchen and turn into a fruit bowl. Sometimes I find just having a little knick-knack on a cabinet just kind of pulls everything in together. And that's what when I'm in the thrift store, I'm always kind of eyeing for those little things that catch me and think, oh, this could be tucked into a corner and look really cute. So when I found this little bird, I thought, I know exactly where that can go in my home. And it doesn't need to be painted. It doesn't need to be altered in any way. I paid $1.99 for it, and it's going to look beautiful on top of one of my cabinets. I'm not sure if you have priced flower pots lately. They are expensive. So I always look for flower pots at the thrift store. I can pick them up. I think this was how it's got a price tag on it, if I can remember, $1.99. It has drainage. I can plant a pot, plant a plant in it, and then maybe put it in another container so it doesn't look like it's just plain ugly plastic. But it's so much affordable than going and buying brand new. So that's something that I always look for when I'm out thrifting, and I love a good plant pot. I love to feed our little birds in the winter, and a coffee mug is a great way to do that. If you want to pick up some suet, I have one already opened here. Fill up your coffee mug with it. We're gonna get messy. We're gonna press it right down in there, compact it so it doesn't, oh, we're gonna get really messy. Press it right down in there so it's nice and firm. And then I have, oh, I'm gonna be a mess when I'm done this. I got a twig from outside. We're gonna push it in the bottom, making sure we have this at the top, this at the bottom for the birds to perch on, and then keep filling up with the suet, making sure that that twig is really pushed in there tight. We don't want it falling off. Excellent. Can probably scrape some of this. Oh, okay, we're gonna leave it at that on camera. And then you're gonna take some twine. I have some twine. We're just gonna tie it at the top of the mug, take it outside, hang it in a tree, and our little birdies can have a treat. Did you know that coffee mugs can be transformed into beautiful candles? And the nice thing about these is they're already heat resistant because they're made for coffee and hot liquids. So you can definitely turn them into candles. I am going to I have a wooden wick here. I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue on the bottom just to keep it in place in the bottom of our mug. Just like that. And I've got some wax melting already. This is just pillar candles. I pick these up at the thrift store, or if I'm running low and I can't find any, then I'll grab a couple at the dollar store and just melt them down. And once they're melted, you can pour them into the mug. So I'm just gonna finish melting this and then we'll be back. Our wax has completely melted down. I like to put some essential oil in. Got some really lavender, really yummy essential oil. And we're going to really carefully pour that wax into our mug. Can I do this without making a mess? Can I do it? Yes, I can. There we go. That's perfect. Now we're just going to set this aside and let it harden up. If you want a practical way to use a coffee mug in your craft room, this is a really great hack. Grab a sponge and cut it so it will fit in the bottom of the coffee mug. Just like that. And then add some water. Let it soak into the sponge. And then pour off the extra. And then I like to add an elastic band around the top. And you've got your paintbrush that you've used on your project, and you can dip it into that sponge, clean it all off in that water. And then once it's all clean, you've got that elastic. You can stick it on the coffee mug and let it dry. This is a really great hack to use in your craft room. This seems kind of silly to even mention because it's just practical. And I see so many people run to the dollar store and buy little containers to keep their markers and pens and paintbrushes in when all you need is a coffee mug. They work great. They're easy to wash when they get messy. You can throw them right in the dishwasher. They're good quality and they're heavy. Way better than what you would buy at the dollar store. So if you're looking for something for your desk or your craft room as a holder, always grab a coffee mug. A way to upcycle a coffee mug is, I'm going to turn this into a little fridge deodorizer. All you need is some baking soda and you just pour it into the mug. I usually do it about halfway. Oh no, 3/4 of a way we got this time. And then instead of leaving it open, I like to cover it with a coffee filter and secure it with an elastic, just like that. And that way the air can still circulate so the baking soda can absorb odors and a little bit of moisture. But if it tips over, it's not going to make a huge mess in your fridge. And you might be thinking, well, why not just leave it in the box? You absolutely can. This is just a smaller, nicer looking option that fits better into a shelf. And it's a good way of using a mug you weren't using anyway. I usually swap that baking soda out about once a month, so it keeps working. A simple and useful way to upcycle a coffee mug. We're not drinking coffee out of this one. We are making a mug cake. And these are fantastic to do. They're so simple. All you need is some cake mix. I'm going to take you upstairs to the kitchen and show you how to make a cake mug in a thrifted mug. And this one's perfect. It says, leave room for dessert. We are going to add 6 tablespoons of the cake mix. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to add 3 tablespoons of milk. 1, 2, 3. We're going to stir it so it's really mixed together. Now we're going to put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. As you can see, we've got a little cake in there, a nice little treat. I like to take a little bit of icing sugar, sprinkle it on top, and it's ready to enjoy. That is so good. This is such a beautiful mug, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to upcycle this into a simmer pot. I have a candle warmer up in my kitchen, and you put a candle under it, turn the overhead light on, and it melts the wax and makes the room smell beautiful. But you can make your own simmer pot with a mug. So I have some apple, a lime, orange, and some cinnamon sticks. And you want to just we're going to cut the apple up into a couple pieces, throw it in there. We're going to cut up a couple pieces of lime, or this is not lime, this is lemon. Stick it in there. Oh, it smells so good already. We're going to get some orange. Cut it so it fits into the mug. And we're going to get a cinnamon stick. Actually, maybe we'll use 2. And we're going to fill this up with water. And as it heats up, it is going to have the most delicious smelling aroma come off of it under your candle warmer. And you've made a DIY simmer pot. Did you know that coffee mugs make excellent planters? I drilled a hole in the bottom of this so we have some drainage so the plant is happy. And then I always pick up little glass bowls or dishes and you can set it right in there. And a great way to upcycle beautiful coffee mugs and grow some beautiful plants. If you need to put a little gift together or a housewarming gift, mugs are perfect for that. I found this cutest little llama mug at the thrift store, and I've seen mugs anywhere from like 25 cents to maybe $2, really affordable. So I picked this one up, and I'm just gonna fill it full of treats. I've got some Skittles, I've got some Starburst. I'm Canadian. Have you ever heard of a Crunchy bar? They're so good. And some Mentos, and just kind of put it in the mug, just so it looks nice. And then I have some transparent wrap. You can find it at the dollar store. This whole roll was $1.25. A little bit goes a long way. You can also find the little bags, but it's a bit more expensive than the wrap. So we're just going to take a little bit out. We want to make sure that it's going to go to the top. And get our scissors. These make great teacher gifts, birthday gifts, Christmas. You can get Christmas themed mugs, Valentine's Day, and they're so easy to put together. We're gonna pull the cellophane up. I've got some pretty ribbon here. Oh goodness, I don't have enough hands here. What have I got going on? Ribbon. There had to have been an easier way to do this and get this organized. Okay. Let's lay this like this, and then I can just pick it up. Pull it up. Oh, that's so cute. Put our ribbon on. And tie it up. We're going to use our scissors to do a little curly, because that's always really cute. Take the edge of the scissors, curl this up. These are also, if you need to put together like a baby shower gift, you can buy a pink mug, fill it up with some pink stuff or blue stuff. It's the possibility. There's so many possibilities. That is really adorable. We're going to trim this a bit at the top so it looks a little bit neater. How it's so stinking cute. And it's an affordable way to give a nice little gift using a coffee mug. If you have to give someone a little gift, head to the thrift store mugs and find a theme mug that you can turn into something that's really thoughtful. I found this one so cute. It says friends. It's got a little quote on the back. I love it. I knew it was going to be perfect for a little gift that I have to give to a friend. I went to the dollar store. I picked up some little chocolate cookies. I'd love these to put in mugs. This is just instant coffee with the creamer already in them, so they can enjoy a cup of coffee, a couple stir sticks, and that's all that you need. You can wrap it up with some nice cellophane, or you could put it in a little gift bag. We're just gonna cut this along. And I've got some really pretty ribbon that we can tie it up with, and some pretty colors. Gonna pull it up. And I paid 50 cents for the mug, maybe a couple dollars for the cookies and the coffee. Tie up your ribbon. And I have a nice little gift tag that I made that I can add to the front. An instant little gift that you can give a friend that's affordable, and you don't have to spend a fortune, and you've also bought them a thrifted mug instead of buying new. Great idea. I love when I find a good soup mug. You can find the Campbell's ones, chicken noodle, onion soup, tomato soup. I always grab them when I see them because they make great get well gifts. So this one's onion soup. So I picked up a packet of onion soup. I have 2 lemon ginger tea bags, 2 packets of Pedialyte, a little granola bar, and just tuck these in. And there you go, an easy way to make a get well gift. I just have a little brown bag. I'm gonna throw it in the bottom. You can also add a little pair of socks, a little book, anything that's gonna kind of make them feel cozy while they're under the weather. I've got some tissue paper we can throw in the top, and a little handmade tag we can tie on here. And we've made a really cute little gift with a thrifted onion soup mug. I would love to get that if I was feeling under the weather and not well. What a thoughtful gift and a great way to upcycle a mug. I love a good cup of coffee, but you can also use this in a completely different way when you've drank all your coffee and it's empty. It makes a fantastic phone stand. You're at the restaurant and you want to watch a little video where you're at the kitchen table and you don't want to hang onto your phone like this. Turn your mug over and you can prop your phone up on it, hands-free, and you can watch and do whatever you need. You can also overhead shot, lots of different ways that you can use this, but this works really well. It holds it stable, and props your phone up. One of my local thrift stores has a deal where if you buy 5 books, it's $1. So of course, every time I go into town, I'm grabbing 5 books because I love using them for decor, for stacking things up, for just filling that little bit of a corner. But the last time I went, I found these amazing books and I am going to use them for their art. Now, before you do something like this, you always want to make sure that the books are not worth anything. Maybe do a Google search or ChatGPT just to make sure, because we don't want to be taking books apart and they're valuable. But these are all art books, and you can take one of these photos or art illustrations from the books and cut them and frame them. And they are absolutely beautiful. Rembrandt, a whole book full of the paintings. They're huge. And oh, look at this one here. I have an old frame that I have had in my house for a while. I did a really rustic kind of technique on the frame. I'm going to pick one of these pieces of art and frame it. And you will want to, next time you're at the thrift store, look through the books and see if you can find some of these yourself. I pulled this print of this little girl out of this book. There's so many beautiful paintings in it. And it fits really well in the frame. So I am just going to cut it out to size and frame it. And we have free art. I have a weakness for handmade pottery. Even if I don't need any more pieces, I always pick them up because I can always vision somebody making these pieces or sewing or crocheting or knitting these pieces, and I just can't leave them there. And I was looking actually for something to put our toothbrushes in our bathroom. I found this for $4.49. I have a coupon for Value Village, so it was another 20% off. Handmade, beautiful colors, and exactly what I needed. This is a piece that I picked up and I looked at for probably 2 or 3 minutes before I was like, yes, I need this. $10.79, and it is a beautiful, I think it's a blanket, but it's kind of small. Could be a tablecloth, could be a little runner for the floor, but I love the colors of it. It matches my decor here. And I love the little fringe on it. Not sure, this could actually almost be hung on the wall, or it could just be folded up and put in a cabinet. I'm not quite sure exactly where this is going to fit into my house, but for this price, I was not leaving it behind. This little vase caught my eye. It's not handmade, it's probably mass produced, but I just love the color of it. It's very neutral. And I'm always looking for things to maybe keep beside the stove to put wooden spoons in or utensils, and this is gonna work really well. $4.49. It was definitely coming home with me. I found so many amazing things today. You know how you can go through the thrift store some days and you find absolutely nothing, and the next time you go, it can be even like the next day or the day after, and you fill a cart. That's kind of what happened with me today. I wasn't expecting to find anything at all, and I came home with all kinds of treasures. This being one of them, $7.99. It's heavy, it's homemade. Somebody has made this base and then screwed it on to the bottom of this piece of wood. It is missing a screw, which I'll have to replace to make it sturdy, but I'm kind of thinking it would look really nice as a plant stand instead of maybe a little stool. So that's what I'm going to use it for. I'm going to find the perfect plant for it and tuck it in a corner. I have 2 grandkids. One's almost 3 and the other one's 2.5. And as soon as I saw this, I knew I needed it because it's going to be an organizer for their coloring books, their crayons, their markers, their scissors, and it's going to keep everything in one place. And this was a desk organizer, probably from the 60s, 70s, but I love it. And it was only $4.99. So we're going to fill it up with lots of goodies. And when the kids come and visit, oh, we got a paper clip. They're going to love this. This thrift find broke my heart. I actually found this about a year ago at Value Village, and I cannot believe somebody would donate this. It's a recipe box full of handwritten recipes. Somebody's grandma, somebody's aunt, somebody's mother has written these out, and they didn't save it. They donated it. I had to bring it home with me. It was really a reasonable price too. I think I paid $7.99 for it. I've just had it tucked up in my kitchen cupboard, and there was a project that I wanted to do with it, and I was looking for a frame that had 3 slots, something that I could maybe take some of these recipes and display them in it and hang it up maybe in my pantry or my kitchen. I absolutely love this. I think I'm going to put maybe some coffee stained paper behind the recipes. We've got rhubarb strawberry, lemon mousse, fruit cocktail dessert, and you know these are good recipes. So I'm going to put this all together and show you how it turns out. You can ever have too many candlesticks, and I picked these up brass for $2 for the pair. They're dirty, they have a lot of wax on them. I need to give them a really good scrub, but I like having them on hand to tuck into a little corner in a hutch or a vignette, and these are gorgeous. So we're going to clean these up. This has actually been on the wish list for my thrift finds. And I've got $3.99 and $2.99. So I'm not quite sure what price I ended up paying for this, but this is any fruit pie filling. And I can put, I'm not much of a baker, so I'm not baking too many pies, but even if I go to the grocery store, I can throw a pie in here. And I just thought it was so cute. And it is, there's not really an age on it. It's probably from the 80s or the 90s. I have seen them with the lids, and that would be my ultimate find, but this one, second best, and for probably $2.99, it was a great deal. These were the cutest salt and pepper shakers, $2.99 for the set. They're marked Japan. They're my color. I love this kind of mustard yellow color. And again, I think they're really nice to tuck into a little cabinet in the kitchen, or you can actually even use them. Both of these have the stoppers. Beautiful, great deal. And was so excited when I found these. I love my junk journals. Sometimes I don't have enough time to actually work on them, and I need to be better about that. But I'm always picking up little bits and pieces to add into my junk journals. And I love picking up sewing patterns. These ones are missing the paper inside. They're kind of ripped and not in really great shape. $1.99, $1.99. But they're fantastic to add into junk journals. So that's on my to-do list. I'm not going to show you today what I'm going to do with them, but that'll be a future video. I also like picking up old, this is a knitting magazine, mainly for junk journaling. Again, you can add the pictures, you can add the text, and I like just having them on hand to kind of pull inspiration from. So this one was only 10 cents. So when you're out thrifting, if you're into that kind of stuff, always keep your eye open for things like this that you can change and alter and add into your journals. This is not my big find, but these are pretty special. I was actually thrifting with my girlfriend, and she found these and came running towards me and said, I know this is your vibe. I know you want these. And yes, please. They were $15.99 a piece. So beautiful. They probably came out of an old Hutch, but I have a perfect spot in my spare bedroom that these are going to go. Now, I did notice that, see how they're kind of not stained on some of these ends? I might see if I can match it a little bit before I hang them. I'll put a hanger on the top, but oh my goodness. Aren't these gorgeous? And they're so hard to find. Unique pieces like this that doesn't cost a fortune. This is what you have all been waiting for. This is a huge tablecloth, handmade for $6.99. It is. I'm not going to be able to show you how big it is on camera, but it's huge. Now there is a couple snags in it. Not much of a sewer, but in order to fix this up in a few couple places, I'm going to do my best. Where I just saw the price tag here. Where did it go? Here it is. $6.99. And where was the, here it is right here. If we have any sewers out here in my followers, how should I fix this? It's just, this is the only hole that I could find in it. It looks like it could be pretty easy if I can find some thread that would match and just kind of pull it together. But this is gorgeous. And I can't imagine how long somebody would sit in maybe I'm picturing in a rocking chair, putting this together, weeks, months, year. I am going to take very good care of this. I have actually a hutch in one of my bedrooms that I think I'm just going to fold it up and just kind of display it and then bring it out for special occasions and use it as a tablecloth. But I really need to fix this up first. Need your advice. And I hope you're as excited as I am to find this beautiful, unique piece. Do you make sure that you really go through the planters? Because I find people overlook that a lot, and there's always some really great treasures in there that you can upcycle. I feel like I really rescued this. This is, it's dirty, it's filthy, but it has some really great character. It was only $2, and as soon as I picked it up, I thought, you know what it needs? It needs some baking soda paint to give it more of like a stone pottery look. So I'm going to scrub this up and I'm going to show you how to do that. Before you do a project like this, and I've said this many times, make sure you do your research before you go and alter something in case it might be worth some money. So this has no markings on it. I did some research. I think it probably was from like a floral store when you bought an arrangement. And has a huge crack down this one side. It looks like it's been repaired. So it's not really worth much at all. So it's not going to be an issue with us repainting this. First thing I want to do, because this is like slippery, it's like the gloss, high gloss on it. We're going to do some flat black spray paint on this to give it a base for our baking soda paint. So I'm going to take this out to the garage and I'm going to give it a spray. Okay, the spray paint's all dry. I have some latex paint, just house latex paint in white. I find it's a little bit too stark of a white. So I'm actually just gonna add a couple squirts of some latex or some acrylic brown to give it more of a taupe color. I'm gonna mix it all in together. Wonder if I have a better stir stick than the end of a paintbrush. Probably. Okay, then what we're gonna do, you just add baking soda into it. And there's not really complete measurements. You just kind of do it until you get the texture that you like. I like a lot of texture. So I'm gonna start with like 1 heaping tablespoon. This is baking soda. I just have put it in a different container. And we're just going to stir it in. Look at the consistency after we've stirred it in. I think I want more. So I'm going to add another big heaping tablespoon because we want this thick and we want it to look like stone. Mix it all in. I might even add just a little bit more. Maybe a half of a tablespoon. Okay, so now I'm gonna mix this together really well. And then we'll start to paint it on the base. So let me keep stirring and we'll be back. I ended up adding a little bit of black acrylic paint. I just found it kind of went almost like a pinky hue to it with just the brown. So I wanted more of a cement look. I think we did pretty good. We are ready to paint. And all you do is just start painting your project and you're going to see that texture start to show as you're painting. Now this is something where it takes like 2 or 3 coats. You have to build it up. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to get the first coat on this. And once that's done and it's dry, I'll come back and I'll show you. And then we'll put a second coat on. That's coat 1. Definitely needs another coat. So we're going to start on that. Now this coat, I kind of like just to pounce it on, give it some texture. You could even use a sponge if you have a sponge instead of a paintbrush and slop it on. You can see how it's giving it some texture. So I'm going to go through. We're going to put the second coat on this. We'll be back. Second coat's all done. It looks really great, but I think it needs a little bit of depth. So I'm going to take some of this black acrylic. Just going to use the lid right here, just a little bit. And I'm going to take some of this paint that's in here, mix it together, just so it's a little bit darker. That looks good. And I got my sponge. I'm going to load up the sponge. And I'm just going to sponge on that different color gray. And we don't have to cover it completely, just here and there gives it that cement look. So I'm going to go through. Let's get this sponged on this. And we'll be back to show you the finished piece. I bet if you had have seen this at the thrift store, you probably would have walked right by it. I spotted it, but I saw some potential. So I think we're going to kind of give this an update. We're going to do some decoupaging. I've printed off a graphic that's from our graphic club, a beautiful vintage looking bouquet of fresh wild flowers. And what we're going to do is I think we're going to just decoupage it right in here. We're going to have to, this was put together, I think, and then glued down. I couldn't pop this plastic up. So I'm going to create a little bit of a rough surface using a little sanding block here, just so when we do decoupage, it's going to stick better. So let's roughen that up. And then our graphic that we used, I printed it on my inkjet printer. So when we go to decoupage it, if you don't seal up your print, your ink is going to run. So I'm going to show you how to do a workaround on that so we can use it and it doesn't make a mess and run and smear. That's scuffed up really well. What you want to do is you can either spray it with hairspray or some polyacrylic spray. Let me grab my polyacrylic. Okay, I've just got some Painter's Touch clear polyacrylic sealer, and you just want to seal in that inkjet print because as soon as you put water on it, it is going to run and it's not going to look nice. So we're just going to do a light spray, and I like to do the front and the back because the ink will come through on the back also. Okay, so now we're going to set this aside. We're going to let it dry. We'll be back. Okay, this is all dry now, and I'm just going to place it in here and kind of press it in so we get a bit of an outline so I know where to cut. I'm just going to use my fingers and it'll just kind of press it in and give me a guide. And then we'll cut it down to size to fit in the frame. And I see these all the time. And these are really great to nestle in a wall gallery because they're small and they don't have a big bulky frame on them, but they're easy to fit in. Okay, let's grab the scissors and let's cut this out and then we'll be ready to decoupage. I've got it so it's going to fit right in there. Oh, it looks beautiful already. I love this graphic. And oh, now I got it in there. Get out. Okay, now we're going to use our Mod Podge. I'm using some Mod Podge matte. Oh, remember that tip that I said, put some Vaseline on your lid of your Mod Podge and it's easy to open? Yeah, I tell you, but I don't follow through and do it very well myself. Just put your Mod Podge on. You don't want very much. You don't need very much. If you put a really thick coat on, it's going to bubble and it's going to wrinkle on you. A little bit goes a long way. Just going to put a little bit more on. That looks great. Okay. Get our graphic. Place it in there. Oh, beautiful. Okay, we're going to let this dry, and then I'm going to show you how to put a top coat on this so it actually looks like an old oil painting. I let this dry for about 10 minutes. Now we're going to go back in with the Mod Podge, and we're just going to do crisscross across that as a top coat. And it's just going to kind of mimic brush lines of an oil painting. And it just gives us some texture, makes it look like you've just haven't glued a piece of paper onto a project. You can go up and down, kind of pounce. You don't want it too thick because sometimes Mod Podge has a tendency to kind of dry cloudy if you have it too thick. So just kind of pounce, crisscross, give it some texture. That's all you need. And then we're going to set that aside and let it dry. Now, I think the chain on, I don't mind this embellishment around the sides, but the chain looks really kind of cheesy. It's a really cheap kind of gold color. So I think I'm just going to take a little bit of acrylic paint, black, and I'm just going to kind of put a little bit on just to kind of get rid of that stark gold for when we hang it on the wall. And we're just going to, that looks better. Just going to kind of let that sit and dry. When you're at the thrift store frame section, really root through, dig right to the bottom, look through all of the shelves because I can guarantee you are going to find at least one gem of a frame every trip you go. And this was this case. Probably nobody even seen it. It was way at the back of the shelf. $1. It is gorgeous. And I'm going to fix it up a little bit. It needs to be cleaned. We got to put some Windex on the glass. We're going to take the backing out. Now the frame, I feel, just needs some juicing up. And I'm going to use some Rub and Buff. I've got some antique gold. And if you've never used Rub and Buff, you need to try it out. It is, what is going on with this paintbrush? It is so easy to use, and a little tiny bit goes a long way. So I just have this brush that's only for Rub and Buff, and just rub it on. And it's going to transform so many surfaces with just a little bit on a project. So look at the difference. Here's a little bit of the Rub and Buff, and here it is without. So I'm just going to put some on the rest of the frame. Kind of gives it that antique feel. It gets rid of that, just that brass, hard, cold look. And we'll be back when I have it all finished. We have the frame all done. Love that little splash of Rub and Buff on that. It's beautiful. Cleaned up the glass. We'll put it back in the frame. And I picked two beautiful botanical prints that I had in my graphic club. And I'm going to put them in the frame side by side. And if you want to find out anything about our graphic club, I'll put the link down below in the description. I have a website library full of hundreds of graphics that I've designed myself. Every week we're adding more exclusive videos. And these gorgeous graphics are in there. So we have this little print. And then this little print. I put these in Canva and size them to fit our project. I'm just going to fit them in the frame now and size them up, and we will be back. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. I love those floral prints in this little ornate frame, and I have a special spot for it. Check out this cutting board. I found it at the thrift store. It was $1, but it's got this decorative print on the front, which probably would be nice in maybe a cottagecore kitchen or something like that, and just displayed and not used. But I want to make this useful and use it in my kitchen. So all I'm going to do is, I've got my sander. I'm going to take this out to my garage, and I'm going to sand off this. We're going to put some oil on this and bring this back to life for $1. I got it all sanded off. It's a beautiful cutting board. I did the front and the back. I'm not really loving the really tiny hole in the top. I think I would make it look a bit more modern if I just made the opening a little bit bigger. So I have my drill and a big drill bit. And we're just gonna drill that hole a little bit bigger. Do it a bit from this side. Yeah, I think that just kind of gives it more of a modern feel. Now we want to put some oil on this. For the oil, you want to make sure that you're using something that is food grade. Don't just put vegetable oil or coconut oil on a cutting board. It has to be food grade. I picked this up and it's for butcher blocks. I'll put the link to this product down below in the description. It works really well, and you can see I've used so much of it. We're just going to put some on a cloth, rub it onto the cutting board. It brings out all of that beautiful color of the wood. Soaks right in. This was really thirsty. I'll flip it over and do the other side. We want to make sure that we do the ends and the sides also. We'll be back once I have this all finished. And there we have a beautiful thrifted cutting board from the thrift store that I paid $1 for, that most people probably just would have walked right past. I saw the potential. This is heading straight to my kitchen. This was probably my favorite find of my thrifting trip. These beautiful embroidered flowered prints. And I actually found these in the crafting section. You know where you're gonna find your scissors and your markers and your floss and anything crafting related. Sometimes you can even find kits that aren't done and you can finish them, but these were finished. They are beautiful. I picked them up. They were 50 cents a piece. I haven't found the perfect frame for them yet, but that's somewhere where you want to root through and dig in, because you never know when you're going to not find, you never know when you're going to find a treasure like this. And so now I'm on the hunt for some special frames for these. Again, this was in the frame section, and it does have a hanger on the back. It is beautiful. Somebody has spent so much time painting this on here, and I had to bring it home with me. It does have a hanger on the back. I'm not sure if I'm going to hang it on the wall. It does kind of feel like there's something missing right here. This one kind of has me stumped. What I thought I could do was take the hanger off, maybe put some legs on it and use it kind of like as a raised tray. What would you do? Give me some ideas. It also has the markings on the back. It's really hard to read, but it does say 1984. Love, Mum. The one thing that I do want to do with it, though, because it doesn't feel like it has a really good protective coating on top, so I'm going to take the time just to put some polyacrylic sealer on the top, and then I think I'm just going to set it aside and wait for some inspiration to kind of hit me, or for you guys to give me some ideas of what I should do with it. Never overlook baskets and wicker. I love picking these up and using them as storage instead of buying plastic bins that are ugly. So when I found this, it was $20. It's beautiful. And I think I'm going to put it in my living room and throw some of the kids' toys in it, so it looks nicer than just having them stuck on a shelf or something. I thought this was a great deal for $20. Never overlook wicker baskets. And I always pick up these when I find them. Little pot holders, but you know how they look really beautiful? Stuck underneath a nice little plant, or use them as a riser. So many possibilities, and you usually can pick them up for $1 or 50 cents. I always save my little brown bags that I get from other stores that I make, or the grocery store, tuck them away just for a moment like this. I have a little gift that I have to give a friend that loves sewing, so I went into my library and I have the perfect graphic for it. It's sewing theme, but it says, "Happy birthday, something lovely for you." And I am just going to cut it out. And stay with me, because I'm going to do something really clever once we put this gift together. Just going to cut this out. And then I'm going to use my glue stick and put it on the front of the bag. Do you have a favorite glue stick that you like? Let me know down in the comments. I always am kind of jumping from one glue stick to another to find one that really works well. This one is, I think it's just a dollar store one. It's not bad, but let me know what your favorite one is. Okay, we're going to put this on the front of the bag with the glue stick, making sure it's centered. And I made this. It's a thrift store china bowl and a votive holder, and I glued it together with some E6000, and I am going to gift it to my girlfriend for her birthday. But what I'm going to do that's really clever, I have some old pattern pieces in my stash, and I'm going to use it like tissue paper. I'm going to wrap up the bowl. Cut this here. it in the bag. How clever is that? I have a beautiful glass amber container for soap in my bathroom, and I want to make a label for it. So I designed this one and then I put it in my library, and when this project came along, I went to the library, pulled it out. This is the graphic, which I love, and I put it into Word doc and sized it to fit our jar. Now this was printed off on my laser printer, so the ink is not going to run if we introduce something else to it. I think that's better for this project. If you're using an inkjet and it kind of gets water splashed on it, it might run a little bit. But I'm going to take it to the next level. We are going to coffee stain this and make it look kind of old. I just have some instant coffee and some water and a little sponge. We're just going to sponge it on that graphic just to kind of give it that old apothecary look. And once we have the coffee on it, I'm going to go a little bit darker around the edges. I'm going to set this aside and then we're going to let it dry. So we will be back. Our coffee stain is completely dry and I already love it. I love the look that it just, and this is just plain paper. I'm just going to really carefully cut this out so it's nice and neat and tidy. And then I'm going to coat it with some Mod Podge. We want to have it be a little bit, it's not waterproof, but water resistant because it's going to be in the bathroom. I'm just going to use my Mod Podge mat and I'm going to just put a coat on the top. And because we printed this with the laser printer, it's not going to run when we put the Mod Podge on. So that's a bonus. And putting a pretty good coat on. We're going to set this aside now and let it dry. Not going to leave it on the paper though, because then we would have stuck our little label onto the paper. Everything's all dry, and I'm kind of wishing I had have made more of these, like a bundle. I could have done the dish soap, hand soap, salt, flour, like a whole label package. Might have to do that and throw that up in the society. I am just going to use Mod Podge to glue it to our glass bottle. And just put a good amount on the back. There we go. Let's put it on our bottle. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, I love it. Love. I'm going to make I'm going to put more together in a bundle and add them to the library and the society in this style. I absolutely love this. It looks like something you would buy at a high-end boutique store. I'm just going to now put this in my bathroom and by the sink, and it's a beautiful hand soap dispenser now. I found a beautiful old frame at the thrift store. Paid $3.99 for it. I don't think it's ever been used. I'm not really fussy about the outside color of it. I think I'm going to spray paint it and maybe use a little bit of rub and buff to kind of make it fit my decor. But I'm going to use this beautiful graphic and frame it in this. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to print it on plain paper. I'm going to print it on watercolor paper. If I'm doing anything like this in a frame, I just find that it's more sturdy and it holds up better. So this is just a 140-pound watercolor paper. I just grabbed it on Amazon. It works fantastic. And I am going to coffee stain it, but I didn't bring my coffee stain. 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, I wanted to have that old piece of paper look, so I'm just using my instant coffee, water, You can just mix it for how dark you want. And I'm just gonna sponge on all across the paper, and then we're just gonna set it aside and let it dry, and you can layer it up. You can make little splotches, just whatever you want and how antique you want it to look. So we're gonna cover this one up. I actually have one already done. So let me show you. We're gonna set this one aside. We're gonna bring this one in. Look how beautiful this is. The coffee stained paper. I printed the graphic on it and you can see the color difference. Isn't that gorgeous? We're gonna put it in the frame. So I'm just going to work away at the frame now. I'm gonna take it apart. We're gonna spray paint it, put some rub and buff, pull it all together. We'll be back. Because I never have really too much of a plan when I'm crafting, I kind of just go on the fly. I decided I wanted to use some mirror effect spray on the glass just to give it kind of that mirrored old vintage look, just maybe around the edges a little bit. If you never use this product, it's really cool and easy to use. All you have to do is, you can use some, I've seen people use vinegar and water, Windex. I find even just water works, but you want to just kind of mist your glass. And then you're going to take your mirror effect spray and you're just going to lightly mist where you want it to go. Just lightly, not too much. You can put more on this project. I just want a little bit more around the edges. Okay, grab some paper towel. I've got some right here. And then you're just going to dab it up and down. Do this in a well-ventilated area. I've got my door open here to outside. And then just let it dry. And you can layer up as much as you want with the mirror effect to get a really beautiful finish. I don't want very much. I don't know if you can see it on camera. It's just kind of around the edges. I might off camera just give it another little bit of a squirt around the edges. But I think that's going to be a really nice base for our graphic. My frame is all dry. I grabbed my antique gold rub and buff. I have a little paintbrush. It's an old stencil brush dedicated just to rub and buff. You don't need very much. This stuff goes a long ways, and I'm just going to brush it on, and it just gives that beautiful brass look that I love right now. So I'm going to go along and finish this frame up. Might need a little bit more, and my mirror effect is just drying. So as soon as everything is dry and complete, we're going to pull it all together. Okay, the mirror effect is dry. I don't know if you can see. You'll be able to see when we pull it all together. But it just creates that beautiful vintage mirror look. We're going to flip the frame around. We're going to put our glass in. It's got to slide through. Get in there. There we go. Let's put our graphic in. Oh, I think I got to cut this down. It's a little bit too big. Okay, give me a second. Let's cut this down and do this properly. Okay, now we're ready. Let's put the graphic in. Excellent. Our backer. And we can put this on an end table or we can hang it on the wall. It's got both options. And wait until you see this mirror effect. It's gorgeous. Oh, exactly what I was trying to achieve. What a great way to use these graphics. These are all in the library of our Upcycled Society. I'm adding new graphics every week. I'm always designing and throwing them in there. There's also our private Facebook group. There is exclusive videos. There are all of our recipe booklets. So if you're interested in checking out the society, we'll put the link down below in the description. There's also, maybe we'll put a QR code right here. But this graphic for this frame, I love the way that it turned out. I love having a junk journal on the go. My last one is full, so I'm gonna start on a new one. This one I'm gonna make out of an actual book. And I decided I wanted to put this graphic on the front of the book. I'm really loving that botanical, floral, 1920s, 1930s feel. And that's what I created. We're gonna put this on the front of the book using some fabric. You have to make sure if you're doing this technique, you reverse your graphic. If not, when you put it on your project, your words are gonna be backwards. I printed this off on my laser printer, sized it up to fit the front of my book. We are going to use this piece of fabric. It's just a piece of cotton. When you're doing a transfer like this, you wanna make sure that your fabric is absorbent because it's gotta pull in the Mod Podge to make the transfer work properly. But I'm not gonna do the transfer on this side. I'm going to do the transfer on this side. And I've cut this to size my book. As you can see, it's going to wrap all the way around. It's kind of going to act like a cover of the book. And we're going to put the graphic on the front of it. So we're going to move this out and get out with the Mod Podge. Mod Podge matte works the best. Put it on our graphic. This can work with an inkjet printer. Laser works best. You'll have better results. I've talked about that lots. If you're crafting a lot, invest in a laser printer, especially if you're going to be using all of these graphics, or if you're joining the society and you want to get into it more, invest in a laser printer because it makes your crafting experience so much better. Okay, I think that is actually pretty good. We got it completely covered right out to the edge. Now we're just going to take it and we're going to flip it over. Now this takes a little bit to dry. So I'm going to press this down really well. I think actually I'll use my brayer, press it right down. And then I'm going to set this aside and let it dry really well. It's best to leave it overnight, but I'm down here and it's really warm down here, so it'll probably dry quite quickly. So we'll be back when this is all dry. This is completely dry, and now comes the fun part. I just grabbed my stool. I got a little dish of water and a sponge, and you're just gonna start in the middle, wet your paper, and then just start to rub away your paper. And as you do, your graphics are gonna be left on the fabric, and the paper is gonna rub off. This is such a fun transfer technique. It does take a little bit of practice. You just have to go slow. You don't want to put on too much water. Just so you can just start to see the graphics coming through. And keep rubbing. And you'll be able to feel underneath your finger when all the paper is gone. And then you can move on to the next area until you have all of your paper rubbed off. So this takes a few minutes. I'm just going to sit here and chill and rub the paper off. There's all the paper rubbed off, and it's now transferred onto the fabric. This is kind of a rustic look. It's not a perfect transfer. It's not nice and crisp. You're going to have little bits and pieces that are going to rub off and not be perfect. So that's exactly what I wanted for this project. So we're all ready now to put it on our book, and I'm just going to use my Mod Podge, and we're gonna glue, get in there, we're gonna glue it. Let's do it this way. Did you guys see that? No, you didn't. Oh dear. See, I got caught being lazy. It's gonna work though. What the heck? Now you see how I truly craft. Oh my goodness. Nothing's perfect around here, guys. As you can see, we're not a perfect crafter. Although I should have seen that coming. Okay. We're going to deal with that mess later. right now we're putting our cover on. It's going to stick. It's going to stick really well. Okay, right out to the corners. We're going to put this on, get it so it's kind of centered. Press it down. We're going to flip it over, put some on the spine. We're not going to dump it this time. No, we're not going to do that again. Oh, geez. Put this right out to the edge. We're going to flip the fabric over and then tuck it into the sides. And we've made a custom journal cover with a beautiful graphic that I designed. Okay, let's get this tight. Press down. Okay, let me get this attached to the book. I'm just going to trim around the edges and here and tuck it in, and we'll be back. I just decided as I was making this that I just wanted to keep it really kind of distressed and rustic. So I just cut it along the edge and gave it a frayed, kind of a frayed edge so it looks like an old book. I have my little Cricut tool. I was just kind of pulling on it. I took my scissors and kind of went around the edges, and I really love how it turned out. What I'm going to do now, though, is seal it all up. I'm just going to take the Mod Podge, put a light coat over the front, wait for it to dry, put a coat on the back. That's going to protect the journal and make it stand up longer. So, oh, I love this graphic. It's so pretty. I'm excited to start this journal. Okay, I'm going to put the Mod Podge on the front and the back, and I'll show you when it's all finished. Have you ever made your own DIY decoupage napkins? The next project, that's what we're going to do to put on a flower pot. You want to get a napkin, and you only want to use, I had one started here. You only want to use 1 ply. I'm also going to use my Cricut Easy Press because I don't have my iron down here. Same thing. We're going to get that warmed up. Pull away 1 ply of the napkin. Save the other 2 because you can use those in another project. And what we want to do is we just want to press this to get all the creases out of it. See if this is warming up. Press all of the creases out of it so it lays nice and flat. And again, you can do this with a regular house iron, obviously. You don't need a Cricut press. I don't pull out my Cricut very often anymore. It's just kind of collects dust. So when I have a chance to use this, I pull it out. Okay, and then you're going to get a sheet of regular computer paper. I've got some double-sided tape. You're just going to go around the edge and enough so the paper and the napkin are going to stick together. You're going to pick up your paper and you're going to put it right in the middle of the napkin, like that. And then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to trim away all of the napkin. And then you're going to feed this through your printer and you're going to print your graphic on it. And this is the graphic that I designed. I love. And we're going to print that on the napkin and then we can decoupage with it. And because it's thin, it's going to blend right into your project. This again is in the Society Library and you can grab it. So I'm going to finish trimming this off. We're going to print that graphic on it and I'll show you when it's all done. And there we have a DIY decoupage napkin. You just cut it off the paper. And along here. And the nice thing is when you're decoupaging with this, it's going to blend right into your project. You're not going to see the lines. There we go. Still stuck a little bit. Oh, I might have stuck it down a little bit too far on that one side, but that's okay because we're not going to use that bit. There. Decoupage napkin DIY. Now let's get to doing our project. I have a pot that is ugly. It's green. I've got some DIY homemade chalk paint. I'm going to paint this. We're going to give it kind of a pottery look, and then we're going to put on one of our labels, and it's going to look amazing. I decided before I painted it that I was going to give it a spritz of primer. This right here. It's just going to make it stick better, the paint stick better, because it had a really slick surface. So I've mixed up some of my DIY chalk paint. It's kind of a stone color, and I'm just going to kind of, not really brush it on. I'm just going to kind of dab it on because it's going to give it that stone effect. So I'm just going to pat away on it like that. I always find pots at the thrift store. They're a dime a dozen. Wrong color, but beautiful shape. And this is such an easy way to upcycle them and bring them back to life. So I'm just going to work away here and get it all painted. We'll let it dry. It's probably going to take 2 or 3 coats. So I'll be back when I'm done the second coat. I put 2 coats on this, and it kind of has like a little bit of a pinky hue to it. So I have some of this coffee stain, instant coffee mixture left over, and I thought, well, why not just kind of dab it on and see what I get? And I kind of like it. So we're going to dab this on, give it kind of that aged pottery look, and see what we get. I always like using what I already have and creating something. So we didn't throw this out. We're going to use it up. What do you think? Sometimes when you start, you never know what direction you're going to go in or what you're going to end up with. And I never thought that I would end up with this, but look how gorgeous this is. I just took the sponge and I just let it drip around the edges, and I love it. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're just going to get to the piece of the napkin that we want to use. I think I'm going to use Botanical Company. I'm going to cut that out. You want to cut it quite close. And where do I want to put it? I think I'm going to put it maybe on that side. I'm just going to lay it on there. This might not blend in completely, but I think it's going to look nice. Maybe I think I'm going to double up. Let's do. And you want to make sure you cut off as much as the napkin as you can. We only need the words, so we can get quite close. Bear with me here. Trust the process. Let's put this one on. I'm covered in coffee stain. I smell good though. I smell like coffee. And sometimes what you can do, you can also wet this too and make a jagged edge and it blends in better, but I kind of like that. Okay, let's just roll with it and see what it looks like. I'm going to use a little bit of Mod Podge. Oh, my paintbrush is dirty. Let's get a clean one. Let's use this one. We want to be careful because I don't want to rip it. I'm going to dip in a little bit more. This is soaking right through the napkin, so we didn't need to put any on underneath, but I don't want to rip it, so we're being very careful. Okay, so what we're going to do now that I've got this placed on, I'm just going to let it dry, because if we fool with it too much right now, it's going to rip. So let's just set it aside and let it dry for a minute. Okay, as this dried, it kind of blended in more, but I'm gonna go in with the coffee stain again and really grunge it up. I didn't paint the bottom and I should have. I'm gonna have to clean it up. But we're just gonna go around, let it drip, let it be grungy. And I think it's going to look like a beautiful piece of old pottery, I hope. It's definitely better than it was before. So let's let it dry up. Now that this is all finished, I'm gonna seal it up with some clear polyacrylic sealer just to seal everything in so it's durable and it can be dusted. And it's got a perfect spot up in my dining room. Make sure to head right to the mugs and teacup section. They make beautiful planters. This is one that I picked up and just put a beautiful, lovely plant in it. And you can, if you're worried about drainage, I have a full tutorial on how to drill holes in glass and pottery and ceramic. I'll put the QR code right here and you can check that out because it seems intimidating, but it's not, and it's really easy to do. And then it gives you some drainage through your planters. So this one, I did drill a hole in the bottom, put my plant in it, and then I just got a crystal dish, and you can set it right in there. And this one has been thriving in here, and it looks beautiful. And if you don't want to drill a hole in the bottom, sometimes you just cross your fingers, plant something in it, and hope that it stays okay. Put some pebbles in the bottom so the water doesn't pool in the dirt. Or just put a faux flower in it. Teacups, coffee mugs. Check it out. Always go through the china and the dishes because these make gorgeous planters. This is probably like a creamer and it's so beautiful. It's so ornate. I planted a spider plant in it. I didn't drill a hole in the bottom because I did some research on it and it is worth a little bit of money. So I didn't want to wreck it. My spider plant is not really all that happy in it. I might have to get something that's a little bit more hardy, but you could put a full plant in it too. And a sugar dish that was missing a lid. I put a little plant in it. And these are nice and small, so you can tuck them into a little corner. Here's another little sugar dish with the lid, $1.99. Make sure you're doing research before you drill through these or you change them in any way because you want to make sure they're not worth any money. And that's easy to do on a Google search or ChatGPT before you alter anything. And this one, we can just put a little bit of dirt in. And I have a succulent. We can tuck in there. And when you display it, you can just kind of prop the lid up beside it. And how unique and beautiful is that? And then we also have another, I think this is probably maybe a gravy boat. I don't know much about China, but it was only $2.99. Did the research. I'm not going to drill a hole in the bottom. But again, I've got a beautiful succulent. We'll put some, actually, no. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put a few rocks in the bottom of this and give it a little bit of drainage. I picked up this bag of rocks at the dollar store just to have on hand. It's $1.50. They're just pretty little river rocks. We'll just put them in the bottom. And these are nice to add if you don't wanna add any drainage. And we'll put a little bit of dirt in. And I have this beautiful succulent that will fit. Oh, might have put too much dirt in there. Take some out. I'm not a plant expert by any means. I just love the way that they look in my home. So as far as taking care of these, I just go by the seat of my pants. And that is gorgeous. I love that. Make sure you check out the China section. I know every time you go to the thrift store, you're going to find a set of canisters. This was 2 ceramic canisters. It kind of looks like it maybe was missing the biggest one. They were $1.99 and 99 cents. I turned them into planters and I think they're beautiful. And my plants are thriving in these ones. And you could even take this a step further and you could add a graphic or a print on the front of these to match your decor. So many ideas that you can do with kitchen canisters. So keep your eye out for those to turn into planters. If you love propagating plants, then it's always fun to find different ways to display them while you're trying to grow some roots. So when I found this, I knew it was going to turn into a beautiful propagation station. This is probably a caddy for like forks and spoons and knives that you can carry and set on the table. But what I did, I took this and immediately went to the glasses and looked for some that fit right in it. This was $2.99. These were 99 cents a piece. And I found glasses that fit in it perfectly. We can fill these up with some water. And I have all kinds of pothos here in my home. It does really well. We have a home that has lots of sunlight. So I'm always propagating them. And I just plunk them in here and they look beautiful. I sometimes just set this right on my kitchen table because it kind of looks like a flower arrangement and it's so easy. I find when you're at the thrift store, you just kind of got to look at things just a little bit of a different way other than, can I use this for something other than what it's meant to be? And probably a lot of the time when you're looking at stuff and you're looking for unusual planters, you're going to look at this and say, yeah, that will turn into this. So how great is that? We have this beautiful propagation station, cheaper than a planter, cheaper than a pot, and it looks beautiful. I always check out the wicker baskets because sometimes planters are just boring. This is a really nice planter and it has really great drainage, but when I put it on my little side table, I was like, nah, I think it would look better if it was in a little wicker basket. And I can actually probably fit 2 planters in here if I wanted to, but there's some really beautiful wicker baskets that you can sort through at the thrift store and you can use it to put around a planter and give it a completely different look. Tin canisters are so beautiful and they make excellent planters and they're seasonal because you can always find Christmas ones and Easter ones and Valentine's ones. So sort through them. Keep an eye for the size and the shape you need for a plant that you have at home that's already in a planter that you can fit right inside. This was $2.49 and this plant fits in it really nice. Tuck it in a corner of your home and it's going to look beautiful. Do you want the cutest way to propagate some plants? Look through the salt and pepper shakers. This one was 99 cents and I love the cut glass look of it. Take the lid off. You got a cute little container. You can fill it up with some water. Get your clippings and throw it in there. Let's fix this here. Throw them in here and these look so beautiful. Just sat on a little dresser, propagating, but they're beautiful and they're not just in an ugly little cup. This is a great thing to look out for in the china dishes. I've actually had this for quite a while and I have propagated so many plants in this. This is something that I'm experimenting with. This is actually an orchid and I can't get it to bloom again. So I just put a little tiny bit of water in there. This is a TikTok thing that I've seen. And I'm just seeing if it's gonna bloom again. So I kept that in there. But these probably were for spoons and forks. Again, a little caddy or maybe for jam because it's got little holders. If you know what it is, let me know down in the comments. But I love it for propagating my plants. plunk them in there, tuck them in a corner in your home in a sunny spot, and you're gonna have some beautiful plants grow. I love looking for lanterns to turn into planters and then putting them out on my patio or on my deck in the summer. And when I found these two, I knew exactly what they were going to be great for, and that's for my deck. And all you have to do is just buy your little plants. It can be annuals if it's summertime, or if you want to put it in a real pot and put in your house. Here's a little tip. If you can't fit something into your new planter, snip the sides, and this one's probably easier to show, and it'll slide right in and you can put the planter in there. But I don't want that one in there. I don't want that one in there, but I was showing you how you can get it to fit. This one is going to go in here. We're going to put the lid down. And how beautiful is that? This had a solar light in it before, but I think I love it more as a planter. And this one, again, we are going to clip the sides because it doesn't fit. It's a bit too big, and we want to squish it in. There, now we can make it a bit smaller, tuck it into our lantern. How beautiful is that? And you can leave the lid propped open if it's a bit too big. Always check out the lanterns because there's piles of them at the thrift store. I love a good teapot for a planter. I don't like drilling holes in the bottom though, because we still want to maybe someday use them as a teapot. So I like to put faux plants in them, and always look for faux plants at the thrift store too. They are super expensive if you're going to like Hobby Lobby or Michael's to buy faux plants. And you can find some really beautiful ones at the thrift store. Just take them home, scrub them up with some soapy water, clean them up, add them to a fancy planter, and this is going to be great displayed on a kitchen counter or maybe in a coffee or tea nook bar. So many possibilities, but always see teapots. Here's something really whimsical to turn into a planter. Look for a coffee maker. This one was $6.99. I had a coupon for 30% off. We're just going to cut off the cord. We don't need that. And we're going to take off this lid. I snapped it off camera. And then there was a little plunger thing down here. And I also snapped it off too. So we just have the top. And what we want to do now is I have a coffee filter. We're going to put the coffee filter in there. And we're going to fill it up with some dirt. And where is my plants? I have to go grab my plants. I'll be back. Okay, we've got this filled up with dirt, and I have a little plant here that we're going to plant in the top. Stick them in here. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to take the pot off. I just removed the lid. We're going to take some of these river rocks, put them in the bottom. Noisy. You want to put quite a bit because you want to have some really good drainage. Spread it around. And then you want to put in some dirt. Let's see how much of a mess we can do here. Oh, not too bad. And a little bit more. And I have a beautiful spider plant that I have been propagating. We're going to just stick it in here. I love finding unusual ways to make planters. I don't know, it just kind of makes your home feel a little bit cozier. Stick this in here. Fill this right up. I got lots of these. I actually could probably even put some in the top. Put it underneath. Actually, what probably would have worked better in here, and I actually looked for some, but I couldn't find any at our garden center, is some succulents that are low and they stay in the pot. I'm not quite sure if this is actually going to work because it's kind of squishing them, and we don't want that. But you get the idea. This is so much fun, really thinking out of the box. You can even fill this up back here and put a plant in it, or you could fill it full of faux plants. But how fun is that? A really great way to upcycle a coffee maker into a planter. This is a pillar candle holder, but it's a great way to put a piece of faux greenery in, tuck in the corner of your home, and it just gives that elevated pop of greenery other than just using it for a candle holder. Next time you're at the thrift store, pick up a cake riser, and makes a great pedestal for a plant. So it's just not sitting on the dresser or a buffet. It kind of elevates it a bit. You can also spray paint this in the color to match your decor. I love elevating my plants up a little bit, lets them drape a bit more. A nice little thing to pick up at the thrift store. Also, I love picking up glass crystal. This was a pillar candle holder. I glued it together with some E6000 to this little glass dish. It's a great way to be a catch-all for your plants, or little candy or trinket dishes. Pick those up and they're a great way. Ashtrays are also another great thing to pick up to put in your plants if you have a drainage hole in the bottom and you want to collect the water when it flows out, and you don't want that ugly plastic piece that goes on the bottom. This already is a planter, but I picked it up at the thrift store because it's so darn cute. And they're vintage, sometimes from the 50s or 60s. You don't want to drill holes in these. You want to just keep them as is. But I picked it up because it's so adorable. And just put a full plant in it. And you could give it as a gift for someone that's having a baby, or if you have a little room with a splash of pink, you can add this to it. But look for the unusual planters when you're out also. This planter was Pinterest inspired. I've seen these over on Pinterest quite a bit. It's actually for fruit and veggies to put on your kitchen counter, but I am going to use it out on my deck as a planter. I can't right now because it's the middle of the winter and it's really cold, but I'm going to do I'll do an inspiration picture and I'll put it maybe right here and you can see the idea of what I'm envisioning. I'm going to do some peat moss or a basket liner and some cloth, and then put the flowers on the top and the bottom. Have maybe some ivy, and I think this is going to look gorgeous on our deck this summer when I have it all filled and the nice weather comes. I couldn't believe I found this. How gorgeous is this? Straight out of maybe the 60s, 70s. But I love it. It was $9.99. I'm not doing anything to it. But I am going to put some faux flowers in here and hang it up in a spot in my home where I don't get a lot of sun. So it just gives that pop. But the ornate detail of this is gorgeous. I picked up some floral foam. that I'll put in here. And then all of this, this is just from the dollar store. It's not the greatest, but I love the way that it was flowing. We're going to put something together. I'll make it work. I'll make it look beautiful, and I'll show you the end result once I get it all done. Okay, I got it all full. This might be one of my favorite things that I've thrifted in a long time. It is faux, but it's going to really add a nice pop of greenery in my home. I love it. Keep your eye out for the unusual things that can be turned into planters. One thing that you never have a hard time finding at the thrift store is ashtrays. It's just not something that we use that much anymore in our homes. And there's so many beautiful ones that we can use other than as an ashtray. I have lots already in my home tucked into little corners that I'm using for different ideas, and I'm excited to show you today. And I picked a few up at the thrift store, and any that I picked up none of them were over $2. So I'm gonna throw these all in the dishwasher, wash them up, and I hope you're gonna find some inspiration. I love having a little stash of ashtrays in my craft room. They are so handy. The first one that I use all the time, this has kind of a raised notched in it. They make fantastic paint palettes. You can put your paint in there. Your paintbrushes will lay right in those little notches. Such a clever way to use ashtrays, and cleanup is easy. It's a little glass dish. You can clean it up after you've used it. Another thing that I love using them for is to hold my beads when I'm doing beading projects. They will fit right in those little notches, holds all kinds. Look at this beautiful cut glass ashtray, and the wooden beads fit in there great. Really great for hanging on to little things that might kind of fall away on you. Also love it for pins and paper clips. Keeps everything in one place and really organized. This is another great way to use an ashtray, is use it to set up your hot glue gun. Now mine has a little stand, but I know a lot of them don't. You can put your ashtray underneath it. It will hold all your glue sticks and give you kind of like a hot glue station to keep everything organized. This one I'm going to add some embellishments on. I'm gonna flip it over. It's beautiful cut glass. It's really heavy. I'm gonna use my hot glue gun. Now you can use a permanent glue if you know that you're always going to use it for that, but I'm not sure. So when I'm doing that, I always use a hot glue gun because you can always just kind of pop them off if you ever change your mind and you wanna do something else. So you could use some E6000 if you wanted it permanent, but this right now is going to be perfect. We're gonna add 4 little feet on here. Like that. Did I have them even? the magic of video. Let's see what I'm gonna pop this off so I can show you. See, it pops right off. And you can add some more hot glue and make them so they look more even. There we go. And flip it over and you have a raised ashtray that I love keeping by my bedside and putting little rings or my watch or earrings in, and it just makes it kind of look really elegant with the cut glass. What about using it at your coffee bar to hold your spoons or your little stir sticks? It just kind of makes it look a little more elegant, a little more fancy, and you're not going out and buying something new that you can probably buy for $1 at the thrift store. Ashtrays are also fantastic for keeping beside the stove as a spoon rest or a spatula rest, and it works really well. And they have the slots in there so they're not going to move around. I think this is a clever idea. What about using an ashtray as a tea bag holder? You can keep it up at your coffee bar. You've made your cup of tea, you've got your spoon, and you can put it right here, and it's all kept nice and neat and tidy. And you can also, when it's finished, throw it in the dishwasher and it's gonna wash up really well. I think ashtrays are wonderful to put under plants and pots, especially if they have a hole in them. It's gonna let them drain, and it's gonna be a pretty spot to have that happen. I was so excited when I found this pot and it fit into this ashtray perfectly. I've had this one in my home for quite a while, and it just kind of elevates the whole look. Now, here's a little tip. If you have an ashtray and you don't want it to be that crystal look, you want it to be painted, first thing you do, make sure that it's not worth any money. You want to do a Google search because some of these are actually pretty collectible. If you find out they're not, you need to prime it first. So you're going to grab a primer, put a light coat on your ashtray, let it dry completely, and then you can go back in with your spray paint or your paint and paint it to the color that you want. If you just paint it, it's going to peel off and it's not going to stick that well. I do find with this type of a project, a primer is a must. Look at this beautiful ashtray. It's kind of got like an amber, almost like a burgundy look. It's big, it's heavy, it's gorgeous. It is perfect for incense. If you like to burn incense, these work really well. You want to make sure that it's going to fit in your ashtray and not burn off. So what I usually do is I'll just break off the little end, make sure that it fits in there, light your incense and burn it, and you know that it's contained and it's safe in this beautiful ashtray. Another great idea is to grab a candle. I've got some decorative stones. These are really great for out on the patio or the deck in the summer. Just put your candle in the middle, kind of elevates the whole look. I love that, and this ashtray is absolutely beautiful. Sometimes you can come across some really gorgeous ashtrays. Look at this brass one. It's solid brass. I kind of like the tarnished look of it, and I haven't really found a great way to really clean up brass really well. Have any tips or tricks on cleaning brass? Leave them down below in the comments. And if there's a product that you use or something a technique that works really well, I would love to know. But these are great for holding change at the doorway. My husband is notorious for emptying out his pockets and just throwing them on a cabinet. So I now keep a little ashtray there, and it all gets put in a bundle here. And then I actually pick out the loonies and toonies, and that's my Tim Hortons money. And souvenir ashtrays, some of them are so tacky, but they're still fun. But when I found this one, I'm like, this is not tacky. This is beautiful. It's from London, and it's got a picture of the London Bridge. It says Tower Bridge, London. And I think I paid $2.99 for this one. Great for, again, keeping at your door. Throw your keys in it, and it's a lot cuter than just a plain ordinary dish that you would keep your keys in. So keep your eye out for those touristy ashtrays and special ones that could be brass. This is an ashtray from a hotel. The Skyline, maybe somebody stuck it in their pocket when they were checking out, but it is the perfect size for a bar of soap that you can put at your bathroom counter and have it nice and neat and clean. And I think it's beautiful. Also, we have this little round ashtray. It is fabulous for holding your brush at the kitchen sink to wash your dishes. And again, it keeps it nice and neat and clean. The nice thing that I like about these ashtrays is when they get dirty, just throw them in the dishwasher, wash them up. They come out sparkling clean, and you're ready to use them again. So this is two really great ways to upcycle ashtrays. I love to put things together that weren't meant to be. So when I saw this little ashtray and this little vase, I thought they need to be together. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna just use my hot glue gun. I don't wanna make it permanent in case I change my mind later. And I find with the hot glue, it will pop right off. it keeps it in place and it's sturdy, but when you're ready to change your mind, it'll pop right off instead of using like an E6000 or something that's very permanent. We're just going to place this right in the center. That looks great. And how cute is that? It looks like it was meant to be together. I love making these little things and then putting them on a bathroom counter. They hold maybe bobby pins or maybe some elastics or some hair clips, and it just kind of elevates it, makes it fun, and a great use for ashtrays. These are great for putting out if you're having a party with maybe some nuts or olives or lemon wedges. Just clean them up really well, throw them in the dishwasher, scrub them, and they are like brand new and they will sparkle. I love when I'm having a party, just putting it on the counter full of nuts. And this one, you can hardly even tell there's little indents in the ashtray. So I think that's a clever way to upcycle some of these ashtrays. Okay, let's get this out in the open right off the bat. I am a doily addict. I can't leave them at the thrift store. If I see a beautiful one, it's coming home with me. I seem to have this thing where when I pick up a doily, I can picture a grandma in a rocking chair making it and the time that it took to put it together and the love that it was made into this. So when I came up with this video to show you some different ideas of how to use doilies, I thought, I have lots. So the first thing that I want to show you that you can do with a doily. So I have this one, a beautiful detail in it. Get out your air dry clay. And this is just stuff that I bought from the dollar store, but you can use any type of clay if you want to have some homemade stuff that you have in your stash. This stuff works great. So I just have a silicone pad. I got some parchment paper. We're just going to roll it out thin. Perfect. So now what you can do, take your doily and put it on your air dry clay and just lightly roll. Don't press it too hard because we don't want it too thin for a project. And then watch. When we peel this doily away, look at the beautiful texture we have in that air dry clay. Then you can take a cookie cutter. What I like to do, here's a little air dry clay hack. Get some saran wrap or cling wrap. Put it over top, just gently. Now pick out what pattern you want to have in your project. I think that looks good right there. Press it down. And this is going to give a smooth edge. You're just going to peel away the extra clay. And we have a beautiful textured piece of air dry clay. I'm going to turn this into a little ornament. So you can take the end of a paintbrush, poke a hole in the top, set it aside, and let it dry. Now this can be used later on. You can just store it in your craft room and always use it on your air dry clay projects, or you can hand wash it with a little bit of soap and water and use it in your home decor later. The air dry clay will wash out really easy if you don't let it dry onto the doily. Not a handmade doily, but it's a plastic doily. They were really popular in the 50s and the 60s. I love to use them in my paper crafts. I have a piece of my homemade scrap paper, and you can just lay these on top of your project. And I have a little spray bottle, and I just have water, and then I put in a little bit of acrylic paint, gave it a really good shake. You don't want these to move around, but we're going to make some decorative paper using these doilies. And you just want to lightly spray. I'm making a mess on my table. Don't worry about it. It'll wipe off easy. This is a crappy spray bottle. Where in the heck did I even get this from? Look at it. It goes like in a great big chute. Oh, well. We're going to see if this is going to work. I think it'll work enough to show you. You want one with more of a gentle mist? This one's garbage. Okay, let's see what we've got here. You can visualize what it would do with a light mist. Peel it away. And you have a little bit, this is still fun. You have the doily outline. If you had a real gentle mist, it would be beautiful. You can see it. If you're out and about at the thrift store, look for these plastic ones. Give this a try. Make sure you have a water bottle that has a fine mist, and you're going to create some beautiful papers. This one for me was, let's go and find another squirt bottle. Sometimes doilies are just too beautiful to do anything to them other than just display them. And that's what I love to do for the holidays. If I can find really fancy doilies in seasonal colors, I'm grabbing them and I'm throwing them in my decor for Christmas and Easter and Halloween. So when I found this one, it was screaming fall. I am not going to do anything other than keep it in my stash until Halloween and fall comes around next year. And I've got this beautiful candle that I made a label for. Display it. That's all that you have to do. Or if you have a room that has hues of orange, throw a plant on it, use it. When you look at it, think of the memories of a grandma or an auntie that was making this doily. Next trip to the thrift store, see if you can find some wicker baskets or trays. I've had this one in my stash for quite a while. And then look for a doily that will fit in the middle. This one's gorgeous. It's got a really nice kind of variegated green and yellow fringe on it. Make sure it's going to fit. And then I'm going to take my hot glue gun. I'm not going to put a lot of hot glue on it because if I ever want to take this apart and use it as a doily, if I just have a couple dots of the hot glue, they will kind of act as, you know, like a rubber, like a skid kind of, you know what I'm trying to say. And that will work as that. And it's not going to wreck the, oh my, there. I love this hot glue gun, but it is such a bugger to pull off of the charging station. We're just going to use a little dot, a little glue dot. That's the word I'm trying to come up with. Just to hold it in place, but not ruin the doily if we ever want to repurpose it into something else. I think 4 is a lot. And let's center it right in the tray. Press it down. And these are so pretty to hang up on a wall. Kind of has that kind of boho, kind of granny chic look. It's going to stay on there. And you can put a little piece of wire at the back for a hanger and hang it on the wall. Let's give it a try. Some more inspiration for doilies is to frame them. I found this little frame at the thrift store. And of course, look for the doily first that you want to frame, and then find a frame that's going to fit into the doily. This was just a little small one. And place it in the frame. This one's going to fit really nice. And it needs some sort of a background. So I went into my stash. I had this little music book that I've been using in my junk journals. We're just going to rip out a page. We're going to cut it to size. You can put scrapbooking paper, homemade paper, use your imagination that you would want as a background with the doily. I thought the music would look really nice. And then place it in the frame. We're not going to cut off the extra. We're just going to tuck it again because we don't want to wreck that doily in case we want to use it on another project later on. This can tuck in really nice. There we go, the struggle. On camera struggle. Oh, that is beautiful. You can just see the faint outline of the music sheet underneath. The beautiful doily. It's a great way to upcycle them into something other than you're just going to throw on your dresser. Do you have any embroidery hoops laying around, or have you seen some at the thrift store that were really cheap? Pick them up because you can frame a doily with these and they're beautiful. You want to find one that's just a little bit bigger and center it. Push your embroidery. And again, we're not wrecking the doily. We're keeping it in its original state, but we're able to display it in a different way, and it's really beautiful. Get on there. There we go. And I like the fringe staying out the side. It has a real kind of granny chic, shabby chic look. And hang it on your wall. It's adorable. Now, I'm not going to take credit for making this, but I did find it at the thrift store, and it is just a really large doily, and somebody has made it into a pillow, and they've just sewn the doily around the outside. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and you can recreate this so easy with so many doilies. I think it needs a little bit more cushion, so I'm going to open it up. It has a nice zipper in the back, make it a little bit puffier. But what a great way to upcycle a doily. We all have vases and votive holders in our stash. I'm going to put this one in the vase, and I have this beautiful doily with a beautiful edging on it. It's probably you can only imagine how long it actually took to put these together and to make them. They're so beautiful. And just wrap it around your vase. You can get really creative with these. And if you can find a smaller one and just wrap the one layer, but I like this, it's kind of got like the 2 layers on it. And we're just going to take a piece of ribbon. When I'm doing projects like this and they're not ripped or torn or frayed, I don't like to alter the doilies too much. If I ever have my style change or I want to use them in a different way, I don't want to wreck these doilies because they are beautiful. So any project that I'm doing with stuff like this, I try not to damage it too much. Wrap it around. We're just going to tie it really tight with that ribbon. I was kind of thinking I would put the ribbon at the back, but it might look really nice with the ribbon at the front. I'll show you guys, and you can decide what you think looks best. There, nice and tight. So this is what it looks like at the front. It's got a really beautiful fringe on it now. Let's tie it into a little bow. This would be beautiful at Easter. Nice pastel colors. We'll fiddle with this bow and make it look nice. But what a simple upcycle if you have lots of doilies. Pull them out of your storage and make them into some beautiful home decor. Save your glass jars. This is a spaghetti jar I cleaned out really well. We don't need the lid, but we'll save the lid for another project. And I found this doily, and it's really open and it has lots of little holes. So I knew it would be perfect for this project. You're just gonna lay it over the top of your glass jar. I've picked out some coordinating ribbon, and we're just gonna make sure it's all the same length. Tie it around so it's on tight. And then you're going to go to your local florist, your grocery store, and treat yourself and buy a bundle of flowers and use this like a flower frog. You're gonna trim up your flowers so they'll fit into all these little holes here. Hold them up straight, make it nice and full. Such an easy way, again, to upcycle these doilies. We're not changing them, we're just using them in a different way. And I think it's so much fun. I love using books in my home for decor, to display, to use as risers. And here's a fun little way just to kind of take it to the next level. I've got some old books that I've collected here, and I'm going to take the middle book, make sure they kind of coordinate in size. And again, we don't have to alter the doily, but we're using it in a completely different way. And just wrap your doily around the book so you have a nice looking spine. Then you can add it to your bundle. And I've got a little piece of ribbon. We can wrap around this and tie it together. And it's a beautiful way to display your doilies and your books at the same time. And you can also, if you wanted to take it even to the next level, you could coffee stain or tea stain your doily if you wanted that real kind of vintage look instead of the white, or just kind of see when you're thrifting a different color doily. Whatever's going to match your decor. Tie that up with a little bit of burlap ribbon. Cut it to size and display it on one of your cabinets. I think you're really gonna like this next video too. So click here, let's keep crafting and upcycling together. Thanks for watching.